All right, welcome everyone. Today's video is going to be doing a review on a budget fiberglass BFS rod. So if you want to see that, keep watching. Also, comment down below what budget BFS tackle that you've been using recently. All right, so I'm not going to talk too much about the specs of the rod and such. I want to be able to get some field testing done with it. But this is from a company, Dankun Fishing, which is kind of a fishing distributor in China. So this is a fiberglass BFS rod that they've been working on for, I think it was about 2 years from some of my conversations with them. It's a 4'7". It's an ultralight powered fiberglass rod. It's 1 to 5 gram lure rating and a 2 to 5 pound line rating. So it's very similar to that custom glass BFS rod that I built. It feels slightly similar in hand, with this having a little bit more of a slightly faster action. It's still moderate just from in hand. Some things, the trigger is actually pretty nice. I fished with it a little bit. I actually had a really bad backlash, so I just decided to just redo the intro of the video. I can't tell you exactly what this rod's called. It's Chinese hook, I don't know, something. I honestly can't read it. A couple of just things that I noticed right off the bat is that they have, let me move this lure here. So how the ferrules are, these are actually really nice. This is kind of how Daiwa does their like V-joint ferrules. So the intent of this is that this is hard into here, and this will bend a little bit with the two blank pieces, so you have a smoother taper. There is a lot of sloppy epoxy work that are into these ferrules, and on this natural slash like clear looking blanket, you can definitely tell the yellow epoxy that they've used on there, which especially up here, it does look a little bit unrefined. But this rod is around $130 to $160 of like different places and such that I've seen. So it's not like an enthusiast level rod, but I'm all for the performance. If I'm going to buy something that's that inexpensive, yeah, of course I want it refined as possible. But I also understand that sometimes you pay for looks, which I'm not really a big fan of. But I do think the rod looks nice everywhere that it does look nice, if that makes sense. Like the guide wraps are pretty nice with the epoxy on them, it's pretty clean. And then the handle is one piece. This is another piece to here. So this is a short little piece that goes in here. And then this is a piece, and so it's a 4-piece rod, and it actually comes with a pretty nice travel case. You can't put the rod in the case with the reel on there. So that is one thing. But casting this is actually cast really nice. It's not sloppy like you'd think a really cheap fiberglass rod would be. Not that this is really cheap. Like, I'm not saying this is like a Bass Pro Shops crappy rod or anything like that, but it is very responsive, and it feels really nice actually on the, like when I'm ripping this lure, I'm using braided line, which is most times what people are going to use on fiberglass BFS rods. This is Vervis Super Trout Advanced Double Cross, and the lure I'm using on here, this is a 3.5 gram trout minnow. It's made by Jackson. It's the Mitoria. I did a review on, I'll put that link up above. But yeah, that feels really nice. Like twitching lures, it's responsive. I'm actually quite surprised for a rod in this. Like this feels a lot like that Sunor Master rod, or even like the Sunor Aries. Like, granted, those are carbon rods, but it feels just as responsive. And the guide train is it's a Fuji Alconite guide train, so they're not top tier guides, but they're reputable guides, and I've used Alconites on many builds, and I feel that they work just fine, especially with these stream rods that you don't, if you have a really long rod, then yeah, like, you know, using upgraded components can make a difference, but it doesn't really make a difference, I feel, with these short rods. I mean, I can feel everything that's going on with this rod. I'm not saying this is graphite sensitive by any means, but using that braided line with this glass, it feels nice. Actually pretty surprised. This rod's So another thing to consider too when you're getting a fiberglass rod, or really any rod, is the current that you have. So right now, it's been raining quite a bit the last few days, so the current's a little bit stronger than it normally is, which is going to be a pretty good test with this ultralight fiberglass rod, which it feels, I got smush that down quite a bit. Had my rod crooked a little bit. There we go. And especially when you're twitching and coming cross current, like I'm coming up current, so I'm going to get a lot of resistance, and it still feels nice. It feels like I'm getting to about here on the rod, and I still have enough that I could hook set too. Oh, I just saw a fish jump right there, right after my line. See what happens. Oh yeah, short range casting feels nice. Sometimes you get a rod that it feels really good long range casting, and then when you get to, seems like I have to really push that ferrule down to keep those guides straight. But sometimes you get a rod that loads up well for long range casting, but short range casting it doesn't load up that well. This actually feels pretty nice. I think I like this for short range casting better than my blue rod, to be honest. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just hype right now for it. Look at that, right in front of me. There are a lot of mosquitoes that are out now too, so they're probably hitting all those bugs, but I'm gonna keep moving. Daylight is getting away from me. I spent like, I don't know, an hour picking out a backlash. No, the reel seat's pretty comfortable to palm. The wood choice is kind of odd. It looks almost, I don't know, like yellowish, but it's comfortable. That's mainly what I care about. A lot of times these metallic reel seats, ooh, there we go. Boost my drag a little bit. And that's not a big fish, but well, that's a decent brook trout. Not huge. See, this one really important right here is when you have, ooh, where's that fish? There you are. That's not a bad sized brook trout. All right, so a lot of people like braid because of the versatility it offers, and that the rod was able to cushion pretty nice, especially when you're right next to, the fish is right next to you. Monofilament's not gonna make a big difference, so that rod able to have some good cushion. Also, you know, paired up with your drag, that's one of the benefits of using fiberglass. And that I do use a long, either monofilament or fluorocarbon leader. Like it's like at my tip right now, so that's about how long I use. So it does give me some good cushion. So when this is like my basically my netting range. So I have that monofilament or fluorocarbon to help cushion a little bit more. Yeah, hopefully there's more out there. No, I'd say I don't want to judge this rod just with one fish, but I felt pretty nice, and I wasn't really paying attention when it hit either, and there was enough cushion. Oh, I just heard another fish hit somewhere. But it felt like it had enough cushion to, I mean, I caught it kind of in some current. I had enough backbone too to be able to still control fish. Hopefully I get into something a little bit bigger to really test this rod out. All right, so I've been seeing fish coming up off the surface for insects and such. So I switched to a floating minnow. This is the Jackson Trout Tune. This is a 3-gram floating minnow. There's also a 3.5 gram, which is like a normal sinking. Then they have a 6-gram version, which is heavy sinking, which that lure casts really, really nice. But I want to use a floating lure just because they are coming up a little bit. And it does test the rod's casting ability and twitching. It's like a floating lure. I'm not going to go over all the pros and cons right now. I have other videos for that. But a floating lure, like when you twitch it, it's more erratic, and it definitely, I don't want to say it demands more out of the rod, but the rod can affect the lure of the action of your lure, and that oh, there's one down there, but that thing darts all over the place in this current. That's kind of nice. Okay, I'm going to try to go over there where that fish was. It's about right where he was. And usually I like to fish from downstream going upstream, just so I'm not spooking fish as much. But see, this is a little bit wider river, and it's really dark water to begin with, and it's kind of dirty from all the runoff and such from the bank. I don't think it's going to make as big a difference, but that's one area that you could use floating lures to really take advantage of. You can fish all the way across like those pockets, and the lure comes down and kind of swing around. It's like, I just cast over there. Give it subtle little twitches. You can really work cover too, really nice with it. Ooh. It's like, which one do I go for now? Oh, he swiped. Come on. There you go. Come on. There we go. I mean, this rod has quite a bit of backbone. Not too much, but I mean, it's nice. Yeah, I thought it would be a little bit more cushion, but ooh, look at that. That was a pro unreleasing right there. A decent brook trout. Do you have a leech on him? Yeah, you have a little leech on him, I think. Oh, just an old battle scar on him. But I'll let that one go. Whoop. There he goes. It's weird a lot of times, especially in this dark water, the trout, when you let them go, they want to find somewhere to recover, like out of the current. So a lot of times they'll come right behind your leg, and they'll just sit there behind you for a couple minutes sometimes if you stay still. It's really weird. That was cool. I saw him. All right, so among some of its obvious flaws with like that epoxy work, and I don't even know what the rod's name is, but it is a pretty nice rod, especially for that $130 to $160 price point. The wraps are nice. Like, so some of the refinements there, if I think that they can, I'll speak to the owner again, and I'll see if you know, maybe if could be a different epoxy process. I'm not sure, but for the performance, which I'm mostly concerned about, it's pretty nice. The reel seat's comfortable, which is kind of a big thing for me. The handle length is appropriate, and it has metal on the outside, so it's even on like the synthetic shirt I have here, it doesn't grab on there, which a lot of times if you have a rubber butt on there, it'll grab, and it's kind of annoying for getting some accurate casting. But overall, the performance is pretty good so far. I don't want to give a conclusive review. I don't want to say this is like the end-all be-all. I know that the Reel Test has also reviewed this rod in a little bit different situation. He went more in detail about the specs and such, so I didn't want to touch on that. But if you're looking for a fiberglass rod, this isn't going to be that super flexible rod unless maybe you overload it slightly, you know, using like a 6-gram lure or something. But within its weight range, it seems to do pretty well, and it has a fast action for a fiberglass rod, I believe. But it does have quite a bit of bend, as you can tell. If I get into some bigger fish, hopefully I can really test that out. So if you want to see more BFS fishing and just in general, make sure you subscribe. Also comment down below what you want to see. I know that I've been making some videos of people requesting, like the fishing line video, and I have a couple other videos coming up too from requests. So I do appreciate you guys putting your requests down below, and I'll try to make a video if it's going to fit my lineup. Thanks for watching.